Amy. I'm the Vice President of Recruiting at Worldwide HealthStaff Solutions. We're here with the relocation team, and they're here to talk about all of the great reasons to live in these states. I'll turn it over to the relocation team and then come back on for any questions.
Thank you so much, Amy. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another one of our featured states webinar. I'm going to kick us off today. My name is Molly Lenahan. I'm a Senior Relocation Coordinator here at Worldwide, and I am joined by Megan Jenkins, also a wonderful Senior Relocation Coordinator here. I'm going to get us started today going over the wonderful state of Virginia. Now, Virginia is only a state up from us. We're in North Carolina, so this isn't too far from us. We get a lot of great applicants going to Virginia with a lot of great reviews. This is on the East Coast of the United States. The climate is very mild, very enjoyable throughout the year, from what I hear. On average temperatures, you're hitting January, those winter months, about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 degrees Celsius on the low end. In July, temperatures here in the center of summer can get the upper 70s. Now that ranges, but those are just the average temperatures that you'll be seeing on the coast of Virginia. Some of the major cities that we see here in Virginia are Virginia Beach, Cheapskate, Norfolk, and Richmond. I know that we've moved many candidates to each of those cities with great success. A few that I'm sure even vacationers have gone to just for some fun. But you can see here that we have a lot of great pictures that kind of show how beautiful the state of Virginia is. We have some really great destinations here in Virginia, like the Sedona National Park, Virginia Beach, the Lurie Caverns, and the George Washington's Mount Vernon, which is old house there that you can see. These caves look amazing. I would love to explore that myself. And I hear that Virginia Beach is a very fun place to go during those summer months. The kids have off of school. Great place to go and take a little weekend trip. Some of the popular foods that you'll see here in Virginia are oysters, Brunswick stew, Cheapskate Bay blue crab. I hear that the crab is phenomenal across the coast there in Virginia. The climate tends to be a little bit humid, pretty warm. Summers are moderate, and the winters are moderately cold as well. So a very average temperature compared to some of the other states here in the United States. That first picture there at the top is just stunning with those views of the mountains. I hear that you can't find better views of the mountains anywhere else. I will pass over some time to our next slide for Megan to go over the wonderful state of Michigan.
Thank you so much, Molly. I appreciate that. Virginia definitely, first of all, seems like a great place to visit. I'm looking to go to Virginia Beach and visit sometime soon myself. But moving right along, the great state of Michigan. Michigan is a Midwest state. It is known most famously for its Great Lakes. Temperatures in Michigan around January, average temperatures are usually in about the low 20s. But looking forward to July in the summers, it gets up about into the mid 70s, and the lows are about 50s. So I would say it's a little colder in the winter, but it definitely has a great summer as well. Some of the major cities in Michigan include Detroit, Grand Rapids, and Warren City. And then moving forward into some of the great destinations, as you can see here by the pictures, are Mechanic Island, the Henry Ford Museum of Great American Innovation, Pictured Rock National Lake Shore, as you can see here, that is pictured. Some of the popular food there in Michigan include Mechanic Island fudge, which you can see here in the picture on the left, Coney Island hot dogs, and Cornish pastries. All great things that you can try if you decide to relocate to the great state of Michigan. The climate there is usually pretty warm. Summers there are a little humid, and winters are a little cold. Michigan is very close to Canada as well. So if you decide to go to Michigan, you might also get the chance to visit Canada.
That is so neat, Megan. You know, I have actually seen the Great Lakes once in my life, and it was breathtaking. I mean, they are just so large, you would never imagine. It almost looks like going to the beach and seeing out into the open sea. It's stunning. I highly recommend anyone, even if you're not going to be located in the state, to take time to visit once in your life. It's amazing.
Definitely. I would say the Great Lakes are definitely one of the great wonders of America. And it's definitely something you should put on your bucket list. It's something you should see just in traveling to America in general.
Absolutely, Megan. I couldn't agree more. I will kick us off on our next state here, Tennessee, which is one of very popular states, very popular for touring as well. This is in the South, right on the one of the Appalachian Mountain states. The mountains here are phenomenal, beautiful to drive through. The summers can get a little bit warmer here in like the upper 80s, which is beautiful if you ask me. And then in January we can get down into the low 40s, about 8 degrees Celsius. So they do see a little bit of colder winters, but nothing as extreme as you will in the northern states. Some of the major cities are Nashville, Memphis, and Knoxville, which you'll hear about a lot as you get there. Those cities are very popular. Some of the destinations here are the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This park is very large. It's stunning. Even just to drive through this park, you'll see things that you never even knew you could see. Dollywood, which is a theme park. You can see here in that middle picture there to the left, the roller coaster. I actually went to Dollywood recently. It was very fun for families, for singles, for adults. It had a great atmosphere and fantastic food. The Grand Ole Opry. And Graceland, which, if I'm not mistaken, Graceland is once the home of famous singer Elvis Presley, which is quite interesting, very fun. Some of the popular food is Nashville hot chicken and Memphis barbecue. Now, those are staples for the South, but coming directly from Nashville or Memphis is out of this world. The climate, it's very cool, but not cold during the winters, not as cold as, again, you'll see in those northern states. In a very nice, warm summer, very average, I would say. Lovely temperatures there in Tennessee. Anything to add there, Megan?
Yeah, nice. Thanks, Molly. I would also say Tennessee has a lot of great music history. Like Molly said, Dollywood is a theme park that was opened by the famous singer Dolly Parton. Of course, Graceland is there with Elvis Presley, and there's just so much rich music history there that you guys will get to experience if you decide to relocate to Tennessee.
Absolutely. Speaking of music there, they actually have the Country Music Hall of Fame.
They do.
I'm not the biggest fan of country music, but I went and it was phenomenal. I mean, it was just extraordinary. The museum there was stunning, and I love a good museum. So I love that you added that in there, Megan.
Definitely. All right. And then moving forward on to Kentucky. Kentucky is located in the central part of the U.S., and actually not too far from Tennessee. The weather in that state, it experiences all 4 distinct seasons. So you'll get to experience not only the fall, the winter, the spring, and the summer all throughout the year in Kentucky. They have very warm summers and moderately cold winters. In January, you can expect temperatures on the high end to be around 42 degrees, and then rarely ever falling below negative or below 25 degrees. So winters there will be a little cold, but not too bad in general. In the month of July, in that peak summertime, high temperatures are going to be around 85, so a little warmer, and rarely falling below about 77. Some of the major cities in Kentucky include Louisville, Lexington, and Bowling Green. And then taking a look into some of the destinations, you can see up top in that first photo some of the beautiful mountains that are in Kentucky. Some of the destinations include Mammoth Cave National Park, the Louisville, Kentucky Zoo, Cumberland Gap National Historic Park, some of which you can see featured here. Some popular food in the state of Kentucky include hot brown, spoon bread, and burgo. The climate in the state of Kentucky is usually moderate, a little humid during the summer, and they have somewhat of a subtropical climate there. And as you can see here at the bottom, they have some great food that I would definitely want you guys to experience if you get the chance to relocate to the state of Kentucky. Molly, did you have anything to add there?
I feel like Kentucky is one of those states that are often overlooked. And I don't understand why, because with a view like that picture you see in the mountains, I mean, that is just stunning. And I was reading about some of these really popular foods here in Kentucky, and the hot brown is that sandwich that you see there in the bottom
Nice.
left corner. It's an open-faced sandwich, has any kind of meats that you want, melted cheese, usually bacon, and a few vegetables. It looked absolutely amazing. And that burgo stew, I hear you can put all kinds of different things in it, but it is a comfort and a popular one here during the winter. So I think that is really neat.
Nice. I agree. I feel like Kentucky is a state that does often get overlooked, but there is so much great, rich history there. And also the climate is great as well. So I definitely think people should take advantage not only to visit, but consider relocating there as well.
Absolutely. And I know that there in Kentucky, we have a great employer, Bonzacor Mercy Health. So I know that we have a few great employers there, and they're scattered out through all of the other states as well. Virginia, we have discussed already, includes Inova. Michigan, McLaren is located in Michigan. We have an employer, McLaren, there open for interviews. In Tennessee, we have some great employers there. I know one of our big employers there is National Healthcare Corporation.
Definitely.
So it's great to know that we have all kinds of jobs all over the United States, and you can learn more about these states in these webinars to see what may suit you and your family best.
Of course. I would definitely say take the time to, when you're considering moving to the US, you definitely want to look more into your state. Just like we discussed here, looking into the climate, looking into some of the great things that you want to do. And I think Amy will be able to give us some more information just about those employers that are hiring. And if you guys have any questions, any recruiting questions or any questions in general at all about any of these states, feel free to throw those in the chat for us.
Thanks, Megan. Yeah, so I think the employers that we have for all of these states, like some of them are really big hospital systems, some of them are long-term care facilities. The employer that's in Kentucky is one of the largest hospital systems, Catholic hospital systems in the United States. So there's a lot of really great opportunity that's in these states too. We'd love to see your questions. I know somebody was asking about Kentucky chicken. Kentucky Fried Chicken is a fast food chain that was started in Louisville, Kentucky. And when you land in the Louisville, Kentucky airport, there is a huge Kentucky Fried Chicken location in the airport. So it is famous. The other thing I would just mention about all of the employers that we have in these states is that they all require for the candidates to have already passed the NCLEX exam, and they all require current bedside experience. So you need to currently be working in bedside in order to be able to interview for those locations.
That's great information. Thank you, Amy.
I don't see any questions so far in the chat. I know sometimes people ask questions about like Megan and Molly as they're trying to decide where to come and like plan for the US. I think candidates often ask questions about like safety. Like, how do I know if these locations are safe? How do I know if the state is safe?
That's a great question, Amy. And safety is something that we take very seriously here at Worldwide, and you should be taking seriously for you and your family as well. I will say that safety goes really based upon, cities and where you are in those cities, it can vary greatly across a state. I wouldn't say any one state has a higher safety than another one state, because it really goes down to the city and the location. Even within that city, what are the good areas and the bad areas? The whole city may be very safe, but maybe there's one street that we recommend staying away from. And we have a lot of great resources here in the relocation department, great websites and great information for you to do that research and find out ahead of time, what's going to be the best fit for me and my family. And there's this wonderful site called bestneighborhoods.org that a lot of our candidates use. Google is a great way to learn about the area. Blog postings about states. I highly recommend blogs. You get a first-person kind of overview on somebody else's experience, and comparing those with other blogs, and doing your research in that regard is highly recommended when you're thinking about safety.
I completely agree. As Molly said, we can't say that one area is more safe than another, but I would definitely encourage doing your research. Some specific neighborhoods or areas in the city are considered safer than others. Definitely when you begin to look for housing, you can start to read the reviews of people who have lived there, or that people who live in the area, and that helps you to know the safety of the area as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. And I think there's a couple of questions that are coming in about specific, like, do we have is ICU available? Is OR available in these states? And I think for any specific questions about your experience and do you qualify to interview in any of these states, please contact a recruiter. If you don't have a recruiter already, you can chat with a recruiter live right now, and they're happy to answer your questions. And then always like us on Facebook. But you can also you can refer a friend. But here's also the link to apply. So you can go online and apply if you haven't yet. And talking directly to a recruiter who is able to see your experience is the best way to know what interviews you qualify in each one of these states. So please make sure to do that. There are some other questions, I think, maybe about schools and churches. Like, can you talk a little bit about how do you know what schools and churches are in each of these areas?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, again, Google is your best friend for research. Once you have a, area that you're going to, whether that be in a specific assigned facility or a city and a state, check up the Google search. Go on Google Maps. There's actually even like a little guy there at the bottom of the Google Maps you can take, and you can drop down onto a street and you can walk around on. Virtually, of course, but that is a fantastic resource to use to start looking into churches and schools and other things that make you part of the community that you're going to need once you're there. Grocery stores and shopping stores and doctor's offices, going to the dentist. So I think that is a great way to learn more about that area and see kind of some of the areas that are or the businesses that are in that area. And another one that I see a lot of our applicants using is Facebook. It's a great way to find community, especially churches in the community are often using this to post events or new things coming, or even just posting to bring the community together. And I think that's a great way to kind of see the potential of a church. Are they posting things that would really relate to me? Are the people commenting people that I could get along with? Do their views align with mine? So I think that is a great way to start learning more about that area.
I definitely agree. Another thing you could use as a great tool, as Molly said, once you know your city and state that you'll be relocating to, if you're looking for schools for your children, we have a great resource called greatschools.org where you can do research on the schools. It'll give you just a general theme. It'll let you know what the test scores are like, how children who are going to that school are scoring, how well they're doing on standardized tests. You can also visit your local school district website to get more information about schools in your area as well.
Awesome. One of the other questions that came in was about English exams. And so I just quickly looked up these states for English exams. Virginia will allow you to use your visa screen. So if the English exam you hit the scores for your visa screen, that's good. Michigan takes IELTS, OET, and TOEFL. Tennessee needs a CES report, and I think they just take IELTS and TOEFL. And then Kentucky will take IELTS, PTE, TOEFL exam. So for those of you who have questions about those, again, I see some really specific questions coming in about people's individual like their individual qualifications. Please reach out to your individual recruiter. And just there's been several questions about Texas. We aren't really talking about Texas today, but we have very limited openings in Texas. And I think one of the things that I would encourage everyone who's making this big move to the US to do is to consider states that you've never thought of, because oftentimes there's some really great things about each one of these states. I always joke that I'm North Carolina's biggest fan, and North Carolina and Virginia are very similar. And there's lots of really great places that have good cost of living, that are safe, that have amazing communities, that have good weather, that may be, something totally different than what you've thought of. And one of the reasons why we're doing these, because there's lots and lots of great places to live in the US. It's a huge country. And there's so many different states that offer different, very different things. One other thing that I've seen come in is about cost of living and taxes in these states. Do you all have any information on those?
Again, I'm going to say Google is going to be your best friend just for learning about, what's going to be. Every state is very unique in their cost of living and what taxes are going to be applied to you. Doing your research ahead of time is highly encouraged, and Google will be your best friend.
Yes, as Molly said, each state is going to be a little bit different when it comes to taxes. So it is going to be very important to look up your specific state and their tax rates, things of that nature. Also with cities, just depending on how big of a city you're living in, the cost of living could vary there as well. Definitely doing your research on housing and taxes before you arrive will help a lot.
Awesome. And then I think I think we may have answered all the questions that weren't very specific to somebody personally. And just to mention again, all of these do require NCLEX and to be currently in bedside nursing right now. Almost all of our employers and definitely all of our hospital employers do require current bedside experience. There's one more question about English exams. If you have graduated from an English speaking school, in some cases, you do not have to take the English exam, but we would again want to look on a case by case basis and make sure we give you exactly the right information from your background. So that's a really great question for your case manager or your recruiter. I think those are almost all of the questions. I guess, one last question somebody asked about public transportation in these states. What about transportation?
I'm always going to err on the side of not relying on public transportation. It's very limited across the United States. Having a vehicle and a driver's license is going to benefit you greatly. We actually just did a webinar last week on transportation that you can find on the relocation playlist on our YouTube page. And I highly recommend you checking it out if you have any questions in regards to transportation.
Great. So I think that's it. What about final thoughts from relocation?
I would just say some of our final thoughts. All of these are definitely great states that I would recommend relocating to. If you guys have any additional questions, feel free when you connect to a recruiter to speak to them, but they can also refer you over to the relocation team and we can give you more in-depth information if you ever have any questions about any one of these states individually.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Keep your mind open to the possibilities of all these other states that you may not be thinking of, because they have just endless opportunities and fun things to explore.
Awesome. And then one more question that I just saw come in is about hourly rates in each of the states. So as a direct hire agency, every company that we work for has their own rates. So there's not an individual rate for each state. Every hospital calculates their rates based on experience and location. And so every rate is personally calculated. And so we aren't able to just say like the rate for Virginia is $30. It's based on each individual location. So thanks to everybody for attending. Thanks Megan and Molly for your time and expertise. And we hope everybody has a good day.